Republican State Representative Matt Shaheen of Plano, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet.
So you came out and endorsed Representative David Cook for Speaker next session, even after you had initially backed the current Speaker, Dade Phelan. Why the change?
Well, let me first say that, under Dave Phelan's leadership, we have done some exceptional things over the last two sessions, large tax cuts, education reform. We've done some significant accomplishment. We've had some significant accomplishments. My concern has been just really the appalling level of influence given to the casinos and their efforts to legalize gambling in the state of Texas. You're literally talking millions of dollars. Close to 40 lobbyists that have descended on the Capitol, and they just have an unfair influence on the Texas House. And it's important people understand that Texas House is not for sale.
And what do you mean as far as influence from the gambling lobby, and how does that pertain to the speaker's race?
Well, if you look at the campaign finance reports, the amount of campaign contributions from the casinos it's extraordinary. I mean, it's obscene. It's literally millions of dollars. There's a casino bill that came to the floor of the House. It was clear that it didn't have the support. It wasted a whole day last session. And so as I was looking over the past couple of months, I saw that it wasn't going to get any better. If, in fact, if anything, their influence was going to get worse in the Texas House. And look, we got to be clear: the consequences of casinos are horrific for the state of Texas. Crime skyrockets, domestic abuse increases, sex trafficking increases. Online gambling is addicting our young. There's multiple studies that have come out to that fact. And the online gaming actually targets our young as well. So it came down to me just the undue, just obscene amount of influence that the casinos were having in the Texas House. We got to level the playing field. And I think David Cook will level the playing field. He's a good man. He's a good friend of mine, and I'm excited about the opportunity for him to be speaker.
And has Representative Cook made a promise to those in the House, such as yourself, House Republicans, that he will not back such a bill?
No, he hasn't made that. But I know David very well. He's just been a good, faithful friend, and I know he's not going to allow undue influence like that. Millions of dollars in campaign donations aren't going to influence his decision making, and so I have the confidence in him that none of that would happen under his leadership in the Texas House.
And do you know of any other Republicans like yourself who have backed Phelan previously and who are now going to change their minds and vote with Cook?
Yeah, you have a handful of folks, other legislators that previously had been. And then some of the candidates for speaker that didn't prevail had formally backed Speaker Phelan and had voted for him last session. That they've changed their minds, but it's been for a number of issues. This might be one. I tend to be the one that leads the fight against casinos, so this I'm a little bit more close to this topic. But yeah, there's been a handful of folks that had previously supported Representative Phelan and now are backing David Cook.
And who have announced, because Representative Cook released a list of 48, two of them anonymous, but
Yes.
still part of that list of 48. And so
Mhm.
are you talking about people who are on that list or others who have not gone public yet?
Yeah, no, if you look at the individuals that, for example, that had run for speaker, like Tom Ollerson, Shelby Slauson, James White, they were previous supporters of Dade, voted for him last session. But for a multitude of reasons, they've decided to now back David Cook, but they launched their own campaigns, and now everybody's united behind David Cook.
And so how do you think this is all going to play out? I mean, if he has 48 Republicans in his camp,
Mhm.
the number for, because there's a 3/5 majority for the House Republican caucus requirement. Is that right?
Yeah,
So that's not
yeah.
that many more. 52 is the more than, or 52 would be more than 60%.
Yeah, and so I think David Cook gets there. There's a lot of time between now and the caucus vote, and the things change. But the way things are trending is very much towards David Cook's advantage. I just think he would be a great speaker. So you see a lot of members that are looking very closely that may not be on that list of 48, but are seriously considering him. So I think when you have the time right after the November election, I think that number grows even further. And the caucus event where all the Republican House members get together and vote on who we would like to see as speaker, I think you see the number grow significantly by then.
And as far as I know, there have been, a lot of Republicans concerned about the having Democrats as committee chairs
Mhm.
in the House. And do you think that, I mean, has Representative Cook has made that promise he would not have that?
That's correct. Yeah.
And so, I mean, how much of a part of that is this, you know, for you and for others that issue? How important has that played that a factor in the decision?
It wasn't a big decision for me personally. There's some committees that just aren't quite as important as, say, the committees where you have like pro-life legislation go, where you have tax legislation go. Those are very important, prominent committees that should by far be headed by Republicans by the majority. You got some other committees like on tourism and the like. I personally don't have that big of an issue if a Democrat chairs that, but it is a very much a driving force with respect to there's a significant desire not to have Democrat chairs. And so I'm kind of agnostic on the issue. That wasn't a big driver for me, but it is a driver for a lot of the other members.
And the other magic number is 76
Yeah.
because you have 150 House members, 76 are needed to really on the first day of the House, the
Yeah.
first day of the legislature of the session, that's when House members officially decide.
That's
And
right.
so I'm wondering, do you think that that is a way still possible for Speaker Phelan to still win next session?
I don't think so. I think once that caucus vote is held, members are committed to then going to the floor and vote representing the desires of the caucus. I don't see a way for Representative Phelan to get the required 52 votes in the caucus. I just don't see that happening at all. So David Cook will most likely prevail into the caucus, and then the vast, vast majority, if not all, the Republican House members will vote for him in January. And you're right, it's our first vote, our first act as part of the 89th legislative session.
Have you heard from Speaker Phelan since you made your announcement public late last week?
He and I played phone tag. We have not talked to each other yet, though, but we are having a caucus retreat later this week, and I hope to have an opportunity to speak with him.
And I also wanted to ask you about the fact that Speaker Phelan has brought on former Governor Perry, a
Mhm.
new chief of staff. Um, so you don't think that's going to have much of an impact at all?
I don't think so. Governor Perry is an outstanding individual. He's a good friend of mine. His new chief of staff is also a friend and very capable. Mike Toomey is a former member of the Texas House. But no, that's not really in the calculus as far as these individual members and who they're going to vote for speaker. There's a lot of reform-minded individuals out there. Again, I'm the one that's more concerned about the influence of the casinos. So who the speaker brings on as far as his staff and the like, that I don't see that really impacting the caucus vote and definitely not the vote on the floor in January.
And what is it about Representative Cook that you and all these other people who are on that list like about him? What does he
You
bring to
know,
the table?
yeah, great question. He's very capable, very successful businessman. He's really well respected on the floor of the House. There's a lot of confidence by the members that they'll be able to go to Austin in January and represent their district. Maybe some less of gamesmanship and more the ability to focus on Republican priorities and just for individuals to represent their districts. He's just a good, fine friend. I consider him a really good, close friend, and he's done some significant legislation in the past. He's an accomplished businessman, accomplished member. He's represented his district really well. And there's just a lot of confidence in him by the other members in the Texas House of the job that he would do as speaker.
And the last thing I wanted to ask you about is, at least with Speaker Phelan and other past speakers, they don't often vote uh,
Okay.
on legislation. And do you think that that will hold if Representative Cook is selected as Speaker by House members? Do you think that will hold, or is there an expectation from the 48 of you so far that he does cast, uh, a vote on these bills?
I don't have that expectation at all. You know, being speaker, you're the you're presiding over the Texas House. It's a 150 member body, and so you're presiding over that. There's a lot of administrative work. You're looking at points of order. There's a lot of activity that's happening on the floor. You're actually orchestrating the floor, if you will. You're recognizing members to lay out their bills. You're recognizing members out at the back mic to open up debate. So there's a lot of activity. So to expect a speaker to be able to sit down and evaluate the pieces of legislation before the body, like the rest of us can, I don't think is a reasonable expectation. There's a handful of times when a speaker might vote on a specific item if they feel strong about the issue, but I don't have the expectation, and that's not a big decision factor for me whether the speaker votes or not. But that's traditionally why that is. It's just they're doing so much work to administer the floor, to manage the floor of the House. You could just imagine there's 149 other people on the floor, and to preside over that, as you can imagine, is quite a bit of work.
I did have one other question as I'm listening to you, and that is, as far as I know, Governor Abbott has certainly said that school choice, taxpayer-funded education savings accounts for students to go to private schools is one of the top priorities for him. Do you expect, if that Representative Cook is selected as Speaker, that he would push that through, or get it across the finish line?
Yeah, I think there's a high likelihood that school choice is going to pass next session. The primaries were such where the vast majority of our new incoming freshmen are individuals that supported school choice. As you are well aware, Governor Abbott made that a signature issue during the primary and actually came out and helped those like me that supported school choice, and then supported challengers to those House members that were opposed to school choice. So the dynamics are such that it's highly, highly likely. I would be almost shocked if school choice didn't pass. So it's more along the lines of what form will that be? How broad will it be? I think that'll end up being the dialogue next session. But yeah, definitely see school choice passing next session.
Republican State Representative Matt Shaheen of Plano, thank you so much as always. We appreciate it.
You bet, I enjoyed it.